Now, your most accurate forecast from the First Coast News Weather Team, sponsored by AC Designs.
All right, I know there's a lot of color on this map for late at night, so I'm just going to stay here one more time because I want to let you know of the updates that have occurred, even though this, Idalia is still a tropical storm. So all of the coastal counties, and that includes those of you in Putnam and Clay, because you're along the St. Johns that flows into the ocean. So again, for GLYNN, CAMDEN, Charlton, Nassau, DUVAL, Clay, Putnam, St. Johns, and Flagler, all of these counties, we were under tropical storm watch. Now we're under tropical storm warning, and that just enforces, supports the forecast we've talked about. Columbia County, we've been saying for days now that we thought that even though, of course, you're inland, but this major hurricane will still be a Category 1 as it goes over Columbia County. So you're now officially under a warning, and really the Hurricane Center is just waiting until we got within 36 hours of when tropical storm force winds will arrive. There really wasn't an if there. But the hurricane watch, for those of you in Southern Ware and Baker, Union, and Bradford, has now been upgraded, but to a tropical storm warning. Still doesn't mean that this forecast might adjust, but there's beginning to be some indications that maybe you'll just get hurricane force gust. I say just, it's going to be a big event. But if you've been watching this closely over the last several days, whereas there had been a gradual shift to the right with this hurricane and from the National Hurricane Center forecast, that basically supported the forecast we've been talking about for the last several days. Now there's been a slight motion back to the left. At the very least, I think that's good news, that we're not going to see this track forecast anyhow get adjusted any significantly farther off to the east. Hopefully that makes sense. But this is why we call it the Big Three, because hopefully the headlines make sense as well. So here's, again, forecast, just now a tropical storm, but to rapidly intensify tomorrow, and then just after sunrise Wednesday, still offshore, but almost onshore. So this supports the idea that making it to a major hurricane, but then maybe, just maybe, not making it all the way up to a Category 4, but still winds of 120. That would imply gusts of 135 to near 140, and a storm surge in the Cedar Key, maybe up to Swanee River, 5 to 10 miles here will matter in a big difference of a 12-foot storm surge, maybe 15. Remember, when we talk about that, that's not the surf. That's the Gulf of Mexico, 12 to 15 feet higher than normal. And if you've been out there, that's flat. That's a lot of water that's going to go inland a far, pretty significant distance. And then the surf on top of that. For all of us, here's the Big Three. That is our stormiest day, still is going to be Wednesday. Lake City, still looks like you'll be our ground zero. That is the worst the hurricane has to offer. But for the rest of us, strong enough winds for power outages. And we're going to now break it down for you county by county. Pretty amazing consensus among the best computer models. We've gone from maybe between Clearwater to Panama City 2 days ago to then within the last day from Cedar Key to Apalachicola. Now I think we can say probably from near the mouth of the Swanee River into Appalachia Bay as far as where landfall will be. These are the tropical storm force winds. These are the hurricane force winds, and then the damaging winds, those are the 50 knot to 60 mile per hour winds. Those are the winds, again, not hurricane force, but enough to cause significant power outages. What about the rains? Here's where we think the eye will go. Notice the heavier rainfall total is actually along and to the left of where the eye and the eye wall will go. What about storm surge flooding? What about tidal flooding? For most of us, I do not think that's going to be a significant issue. We'll keep a close watch on it because the winds will be out of the southeast, but it will take it to 2 to 4 feet, so maybe some water onto streets in coastal southeastern Georgia. All right, so bottom line, Columbia County, you will have Cat 1 hurricane conditions. That's the forecast now, and I think even more confidence with that. Baker, Union, and Bradford, maybe just gusts to near hurricane force. For those of you in Ware, Charlton, Brantley, and Pierce, by then, not a Cat 1 anymore, but still strong enough gust with isolated tornadoes. There's the heavy rainfall. As we take a look at other counties around the region, again, remember the rip current risk from Franklin is what's occurring now. Then for GLYNN, CAMDEN, and Nassau County, the 2 to 4 foot surge, that's going to be for Wednesday into Wednesday evening. Then for the rest of us in DUVAL, Clay, and Putnam County, maybe some gusts that'll be far western portions of the counties, and windy with some power outages, but not quite as much for St. Johns and Flagler. And again, all of this should be out of here, or at least the damaging weather will have been done. Thursday will be cleanup day.